Level up your vocabulary. Stop saying very all the time. For example, instead of very hot, use scorching or sweltering. Instead of very cold, use freezing or frigid. Instead of very tired, use exhausted or fatigued. Stop saying really all the time. For example, instead of really happy, use ecstatic or overjoyed. Instead of really sad, use devastated or heartbroken. Instead of really hungry, use ravenous or starving. Stop saying good all the time. For example, instead of good idea, use brilliant notion or ingenious concept. Instead of saying good job, use exceptional performance or outstanding effort. Instead of good time, use memorable experience or enjoyable occasion. Stop saying bad all the time. For example, instead of bad idea, use poor decision or ill-advised plan. Instead of bad behavior, use unacceptable conduct or inappropriate actions. Instead of bad outcome, use undesirable result or negative consequence. Stop saying nice all the time. For example, instead of nice weather, use pleasant climate or lovely conditions. Instead of nice person, use kind-hearted individual or generous soul. Instead of nice view, use breathtaking scenery or spectacular panorama. Stop saying big all the time. For example, instead of big house, use spacious residence or grand mansion. Instead of big problem, use significant issue or major concern. Instead of big difference, use significant contrast or marked distinction. Stop saying small all the time. For example, instead of small portion, use modest serving or tiny helping. Instead of small town, use quaint village or picturesque hamlet. Instead of small group, use intimate gathering or select assembly. Stop saying interesting all the time. For example, instead of interesting book, use compelling novel or riveting read. Instead of interesting movie, use captivating film or engrossing feature. Instead of interesting topic, use intriguing subject or fascinating theme. Stop saying important all the time. For example, instead of important decision, use crucial choice or vital determination. Instead of important meeting, use critical gathering or essential conference. Instead of important information, use vital data or key details. Stop saying great all the time. For example, instead of great opportunity, use fantastic chance or tremendous prospect. Instead of great idea, use brilliant concept or excellent notion. Instead of great performance, use stellar execution or outstanding display. Stop saying amazing all the time. For example, instead of amazing view, use breathtaking panorama or awe-inspiring scenery. Instead of amazing experience, use incredible adventure or unforgettable journey. Instead of amazing achievement, use remarkable accomplishment or extraordinary feat. Stop saying awesome all the time. For example, instead of awesome party, use spectacular celebration or unforgettable gathering. Instead of awesome job, use impressive work or outstanding effort. Instead of awesome performance, use stellar presentation or exceptional delivery. Stop saying happy all the time. For example, instead of happy feeling, use joyful emotion or blissful sensation. Instead of happy occasion, use joyous event or festive celebration. Instead of happy outcome, use cheerful result or delightful conclusion. Stop saying sad all the time. For example, instead of sad story, use heart-wrenching tale or tragic narrative. Instead of sad news, use gloomy update or disheartening information. Instead of sad ending, use melancholy conclusion or sorrowful finale. Stop saying exciting all the time. For example, instead of exciting adventure, use thrilling journey or adrenaline pumping experience. Instead of exciting opportunity, use thrilling chance or electrifying prospect. Instead of exciting event, use thrilling occasion or enthralling happening. Stop saying cool all the time. For example, instead of saying cool gadget, use slick device or state-of-the-art equipment. Instead of saying cool car, use stylish vehicle or sophisticated automobile. Instead of cool place, use hip destination or trendy location. Stop saying pretty all the time. For example, instead of pretty dress, use elegant gown or beautiful attire. Instead of pretty flowers, use lovely blooms or gorgeous blossoms. Instead of pretty picture, use charming image or picturesque scene. Stop saying fast all the time. For example, instead of fast car, use speedy vehicle or rapid automobile. Instead of fast solution, use quick fix or speedy resolution. Instead of fast runner, use swift athlete or speedy competitor. Stop saying slow all the time. For example, instead of slow progress, use gradual advancement or steady development. Instead of slow journey, use leisurely trip or relaxed voyage. Instead of slow response, use delayed reply or tardy answer. Stop saying busy all the time. For example, instead of busy day, use hectic schedule or packed agenda. Instead of busy street, use crowded thoroughfare or bustling road. Instead of busy office, use active workplace or productive environment. Stop saying love all the time. For example, instead of love story, use romantic tale or passionate narrative. Instead of love song, use romantic ballad or sentimental melody. Instead of love letter, use romantic note or affectionate message. Stop saying hate all the time. For example, instead of hate speech, use offensive language, or hostile remarks. Instead of hate crime, use biased offense or discriminatory act. Instead of hate group, use intolerant organization or prejudiced collective. Stop saying angry all the time. For example, instead of angry reaction, use furious response or irate reply. Instead of angry expression, use rage-filled demeanor or tempestuous countenance. Instead of angry outburst, use furious eruption or temperamental explosion. Stop saying smart all the time. For example, instead of smart student, use intelligent scholar or bright learner. Instead of smart choice, use wise decision or clever selection. Instead of smart technology, use advanced innovation or sophisticated device. Stop saying stupid all the time. For example, instead of stupid mistake, use foolish error or senseless blunder. Instead of stupid question, use silly inquiry or foolish query. Instead of stupid behavior, use irrational conduct or senseless action. Stop saying crazy all the time. For example, instead of crazy idea, use wild notion or eccentric concept. Instead of crazy plan, use outlandish strategy or unconventional approach. Instead of crazy adventure, use wild expedition or unpredictable journey. Stop saying beautiful all the time. For example, instead of beautiful sunset, use breathtaking dusk or gorgeous twilight. Instead of beautiful painting, use stunning artwork or captivating masterpiece. Instead of beautiful scenery, use picturesque landscape or scenic vista. Stop saying ugly all the time. For example, instead of ugly sweater, use unattractive jumper or unappealing pullover. Instead of ugly scene, use unpleasant sight or disturbing view. Instead of ugly behavior, use offensive conduct or unacceptable demeanor. Stop saying funny all the time. For example, instead of funny joke, use humorous quip or amusing anecdote. Instead of funny movie, use comical film or entertaining comedy. Instead of funny moment, use humorous incident or amusing episode.